Hi guys, this is part 2 of the Purrfect Portal cat door video, and the setup looks a little bit different, a little strange, and that is because, as you guys know, I don't do any cuts, I don't make any edits, so I was having a think about the best way to structure this video, and what I came up with was a step-by-step guide of exactly what we did each step of the way. So I took a photo of every part of the installation process, and I thought I would show you the pictures and the end result and just tell you exactly what we did to install this. Installation was way easier than I thought it was going to be. It was super simple. We did it all in a morning, and the end result is just perfect, both aesthetically and functional as well, obviously. Porg loves it, and she can now go in and out without me having to get up, upwards of 6 to 8 times in a night. So let me start by showing you. This is the internal door that we worked on. It's our bedroom door, and it is a super simple, it's like the cheapest door you can buy from B&Q. And what I learned through this process is this door is actually pretty hollow. It just has a few support beams inside, which made it really easy to work with because it was light, easy to maneuver and stuff like that. So that is what it looked like before we began. And the first step was to remove the door from its frame, which was the part I was probably most worried about, but it literally took 5 minutes. So you leave this part attached to the door, and you just simply unscrew all 3 screws from the bottom hinge and from the top hinge. So that's my husband unscrewing it there, and I was holding the door for support so that when it came loose it didn't tip and squash a cat or something. This is where I stored the screws for safekeeping in my crazy cat lady trinket dish. And this is what we used. Started with a screwdriver, but it was a little bit monotonous, so he switched to the screwdriver attachment on the drill, where you just use it and it just unscrews the screw really quickly. So we then took the door downstairs because you're going to be cutting it with a jigsaw, so we didn't want all of the dust to be inside the house. As you can see, Binks was already interested in what we were doing, because that is the way of all cats, I think. So we covered an outdoor table with an old duvet cover, just so the door does not get damaged or chipped or scratched, and giving us some height to put it on to work with. And there Binks looks like he's going hunting. And we are ready to install the Purrfect Portal. So having a look at the instructions, we'd already done step 1, which was taking the door off the hinges, and it looked like the last couple of steps were just teaching you how to lock and unlock the door, the cat door. So we only had about 3 steps left, and it was really simple, really easy to understand, nothing confusing whatsoever. So there's our door prepped and ready. And the first thing we needed to do was to cut out this template to place on the door as a guide for where to cut, but Sushi did not want us to do that, so she sat on the paper. We had to wait until she was done. And then my husband started cutting out the template, but of course Sushi was really interested in the little flaps of paper. But you can't really be mad because she has this face, which is just the sweetest little face. Boop. Okay, so once we'd cut out the template, we needed to place it exactly in the center of the door. You can see there's a little mark here that says center of door. So we measured the door, halved it, and made a little pencil mark, as you can see. And we placed the template on the door. Yes, it does say you're supposed to sellotape it down, but we didn't. We just drew around it as it was, just held it stationary. The only part that was a little bit difficult is these parts are lower and these parts are higher, and also this bit has a little decorative edge as well, like little waves, I want to say. So we just did our best to draw in that part and cut in that part, but once you put the cat door frame on, it doesn't matter, you can't tell. So there is our pencil mark, and I left the pencil there to show you some evidence. And there is my husband just beginning to use the jigsaw. He actually did a couple of practice cuts because we hadn't used one before, and he wanted to sort of see how dense the door was, how much pressure you need to use, how quickly it cuts and things. So where the hole was going to be, he just did a few practice lines. And then onto the proper cutting of the semicircle. You can see it's coming along nicely. And there is our hole. So you can see what I was talking about, the door being pretty hollow. So it was really easy to cut through these parts, and then it just gets thicker just where the support beams type thing are. This was when I began to realise as well that I should have covered the door with a sheet because it got so dirty. It was just covered in powder and dust and like smears of stuff. So I then had to wipe it down. You can see the little cutout part. And now the door's all clean because I have wiped it with a dustpan brush type thing. And we are ready to apply the door. It wants you to work on the interior first, as in the part that would be facing into the room. So it would just be the frame, and then once you flip the door, then you would put the main part on. So this is the frame of the inside, and I will say it comes down slightly lower than the door, which wasn't a problem for us because our door was a little bit higher off the floor. It does touch the carpet now, and you can kind of hear it opening when you open and close the bedroom door, but it's not hard to move, and it doesn't leave a line in the carpet. But if you do have a door that's a bit lower, I would suggest kind of manipulating it upwards a little bit. Next, it tells you to screw in 3 screws into the holes, but we wanted to make some little guide holes to make sure we were doing it in the perfect position. So I got a pencil and I drew little circles in these holes, like that. And then my husband made little tiny guide holes with a drill. You can see it doesn't go like all the way in, it's just a tiny dot, just so that the screw has something to catch onto. And the difficult part was this was going into the hollow part of the door, so the screws didn't have much to catch onto, but it was still completely secure. It didn't make a difference in the end. So we placed the frame on and inserted the screws, and it ended up looking like that. And the next step was to add screw covers to make it look perfect and seamless and like non-industrial, nothing's out of place. You just pop those over. And then we flipped the door. As you can see, this is what it looks like from the other side, and the next part is just going to slot straight over. They don't fit together like with a click or anything, but they slot into each other. So they're making guide holes again just to make sure that the screws go in perfectly, and then screwing in the screws, and then popping the little covers over. And this is the finished result. This is what it looked like. I was so excited because even though I'd seen the door just against the white, it looked so good. It just really popped. And this is what I said about it slots into itself. You can't really go wrong. I don't really know what you'd have to do to make an error on this because it's so perfectly done. You know, you don't really have to measure it perfectly and things like that, because once you cut, you know, you're not cutting front and back, you're just making one cut, so it's always going to line up. We then take it into the living room just to take some kind of aesthetic type photos, because the carpet upstairs is grey, it doesn't go as well, and also the cats have kind of scratched it up a little bit, so against the fluffy rug it just looked so good. Look at that. And straight away we realised that Binks does in fact fit through the hole because their litter room downstairs has a dog flap because he couldn't fit through the cat flap, so we assumed he would be too chunky to fit through this, but he does actually fit, which is the only drawback for us because it was meant to be just for Porg to come and go, but now we are not safe in our own beds. So he is a nose biter, a finger biter. Any extremities that you have on display will be bitten. So I'm kind of wrapping myself up like a little burrito now at night so that I don't get the chomps of death. And also he is if you have like a goblin cat who likes to knock things off shelves as well, now my nightly ritual is to take off everything from my bedside table and put it on a high surface, and then I just place it all back in the morning, because otherwise he will come in and knock every single thing off onto the floor. So that's something to be aware of. But obviously if you're buying an interior door, it's because you want your cats to come and go. So there's Binks. Look at his little feet. Sushi was unimpressed as always. It takes a lot to impress somebody like Sushi. A cat like Sushi, I should say. Definitely far from impressed. And this is what it looks like. We fixed the door back on just by screwing in those 3 screws. Nothing, you know, you can't really go wrong with that. And that is what it looks like. This is from the inside. You can see this is the frame. This part of the carpet was what I really did not want to show you, but basically over time the cats had clawed at the door so much, you know, trying to get us to feed them in the morning, that the carpet had become really threadbare, so we put a new piece on, and originally it blended in seamlessly with the carpet, but they have since tried to pull it up, and now there's a really obvious line where they've scratched the new piece, so it's not the most pleasing. And that's from the outside. You can see I've cropped the picture so you can't see the damage to the carpet. So Porg came to investigate. Oh, and the box is perfect as well for the cats to sleep in. So I took a couple of pictures of Binks. Look how big his face is. And Sushi as well slept in the box until it got recycled. So this is the first picture that I got of Porg. It's a little grainy, but you can see she has her little tongue out. She kind of just sat on the floor behind the door, just in the bedroom, kind of watching us for a while. It's very hard to get a picture because you've got to hang out in the hallway and just wait until she wants to leave the room, which is basically never. So we did not get a lot of pictures, but you can see here she's just kind of hiding and hunting. And these ones I got this morning, so you can see the bedroom is dark because just got up. But I really like this one because she just looks really, the light frames her perfectly. And you can kind of get a scale of it from this. So Porg is quite a petite cat, but you can see it's a really big, accommodating, well, if Binks can get through it, I mean, it's a pretty big door. And that is it. That is what the door looks like. It's very nice. I am so happy with it, and I really, really would recommend it, especially if you get the free shipping. If you're in America, I would say it's so easy to fit, it's so pretty, and the cats just love it. And it's like a talking piece as well. Not a lot of people have interior doors, but it's nice to be able to open and close it depending on whether you want the cats in or out. So that is my part 2. Please let me know if you enjoyed it. But more importantly, let me know if you think that Porg is cute. Bye.